Happy Super Regional Weekend on the Just Baseball Show. We are not talking about the Major League Baseball weekend schedule that is to come. The Dodgers aren't playing any other team from New York, so I don't even think it matters anymore, right? But we've got Jared Perkins and Tyler Jennings, who are our college and draft czars at Just Baseball now, and it has been a busy go for them. Conference tournaments, regional coverage. I heard regional weekend was amazing, but now we got to preview the supers. You got 16 teams vying for 8 spots in Omaha. How we doing, guys? I want to start with Jared. SEC tournament. How
Yeah.
was that, man? And what does your college season look like to this point?
Yeah. I mean, the SEC tournament was a little bit crazy. So when I was down there, I also went to the Sun Belt and the SWAC conference tournament, got like 14 games in 5 days.
You're
So
nuts, man. I love
it
it.
was insane. But man, the SEC tournament was kind of interesting because Ole Miss and Vanderbilt like absolutely made runs through that, and that really wasn't the expectation. Like both teams got hot at the end of the season, and you thought, okay, like LSU, somebody like that was going to pull it off, but both faced off in the championship. It was awesome. Like, but then both got eliminated in the first round or in the regionals as well. So, just kind of interesting to see how that's kind of all shaken out. But it's been good.
How many rain delays did you sit through at the Hoover Met? Any?
Only one actually. They
That's
they
pretty
so
good.
they wound up the way the weather was working, like it was only like different pockets, so they just moved games up from like 3 to 11 and then they got the game in.
Don't tell Kevin O'Sullivan that they're moving
I know.
games up and back. Man, he's not in the business of malleability. Tyler Jennings, how was the ACC tournament? Was that great? And they kind of revolve venues a little bit, right? I went to the ACC tournament in 2015, 16 in Louisville, and I loved it. I know it's been in Durham, it's been in Charlotte too.
Yeah, so they alternate between Charlotte and Durham now. So this year was Durham, and I always love the DBAP, always do. Mentioned it pre-show, the laptop issues and everything like that. But like, it was a solid 70 hours and 6 days of just pure baseball fun,
It's amazing.
and got me away from the day job. So that's all that matters to me.
Did anybody hit bowl win stake at the Durham Bulls Athletic Park?
A couple times, actually. I think Jaden Melendez, who's MJ's little brother at Pitt, he was one of them that hit it. Um, and there's another one I can't remember who it was, but it was at least twice that I saw somebody hit it. And there's a few guys that even cleared the bowl. So it was hopefully the Angus Barn was in session. That's
Yeah.
all I need to know because they are fantastic. If anybody's in Durham and needs to go to restaurants, hit Angus Barn up.
Perfect. I have one question before we get into the super regional previews, and we're going to go site by site. We're going to start with Miami and Louisville, but overall trend of college baseball this year. The thing that I took away from last year is take all these EVs with a grain of salt because the way that it was told to me is they were kind of playing with some Titleist golf ball type baseballs and bats were drilling balls and balls were flying, so you see like the 122 from Cags and it's like, okay, what does that mean? That might have actually been 122, but like, there were some homers last year from guys like Christian Moore and other guys that went in the first round. And I was like, how is this ball getting out? That looked mishit. And I noticed that with the ACC tournament when I dialed in last year, too. Is that trend here in college baseball this year, or is that normalized a little bit?
I would say it's normalized a little bit. It's definitely not gone from what it was last year because I know like the ACC tournament the past couple of years has been the home run record's been broken every single week or every single year rather. But this year was kind of tamer in terms of home runs.
Okay.
I'd imagine there's still something there, and we'll find out more at the end of the season. But I think it's toned down slightly from what it was a year ago.
Did we find anything out at the end of last year?
It was definitely the bats and the balls were juiced.
Gotcha.
Not sure. I can't remember to what extent it was. And I know there's definitely a few teams that go out there and they'll change bats in between inspection and everything, but it
Gotcha.
doesn't seem like there was anything like that this year,
Gotcha.
off the top of my head. So
Ball still flies, but
Ball
yeah.
still flies. Good. Yeah, I see all these like OPS against for all these top draft arms. I'm like, whoa, that's way higher than it should be for somebody. But you know what? Nature of the beast. Okay, let's start with the first super regional site. First four that we're going to go through get going on Friday. Then the last four that we go through get going on Saturday. Let's start with Miami and Louisville. In Louisville at Jim Patterson. Love that ballpark. Love Churchill Downs. There's a great diner right by Churchill Downs in Jim Patterson that you got to go to. I'm blanking on the name, but anybody that knows that general vicinity knows which diner I am talking about. Um, Louisville has been obviously a perennial power. They have fallen off as of late. Plenty of draft prospects have come through there. My understanding is they don't have a first round catcher after Will Smith and Zach Britton and Dalton Rushing and all that. Who are the guys you got to ID in this super regional between Miami and Louisville?
Yeah, I mean the first guy I'll mention is Patrick Forbes. This is a guy that's probably ranked the highest on the draft list, and Tyler can kind of dive into that a little bit more. But he's was hurt for a little bit. Has come healthy at the end of the season, dominated in the regional. He's just probably one of the top right-handed arms in the draft class as well. So he's a guy that I would definitely watch out to. And then on the bat side, you got guys like Zion Rose, who's just absolutely tearing the cover off the ball for Louisville. And then Eddie King Jr. And this is a guy that, Tyler, I'll let you go into him a little bit more because you saw him kind of just absolutely take off at the ACC tourney.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing you mentioned was Forbes, like getting
Hmm.
Forbes back and getting him at least in sync with his body, because I think that was the biggest issue. Like he walked seven and struck out none against NC State back in, I think it was early April. And he took some time off, didn't really pitch. They started using like a glut of freshman arms. So like Ethan Eberle, TJ Schlatter was another guy that they threw out there. Um, but the biggest thing with Louisville has always been their bat first. Their offense is really good. You mentioned Eddie King. He doubled twice, hit a home run against Pitt in a game that they ended up losing in Durham because they ended up giving up 13 runs compared to scoring 11. But what we saw last week in terms of what their arms are capable of, like Patrick Forrest struck out 13 and 6, 20 fastball whiffs, which was something that has been missing a bit for the past few weeks. He kept the walks in check for the most part, but then also the pitching after that. Ethan Eberle, I think, struck out 11 and 6 2/3 or something. Um, Peter Michael's been looking good. They've got like Colton Hartman's kind of figured it out a little bit as well. If this team can physically pitch like they did last week, Louisville's a tough out. And that's the thing I want to keep in mind is like this Louisville offense, Lucas Moore, Jake Monroe. There's a couple guys at the bottom of the lineup too, like Colin Mowry, who's a freshman that's got some significant pop in him. So this Louisville team is dangerous. They've got a little bit of a drought to break here. I think it's been like 6 or 7 years since Louisville's been in Omaha.
Okay.
And Miami's kind of that same way too, where they were a powerhouse in the early 2000s, kind of moving into the 2010s, but haven't really been there since.
Yeah.
So we can talk about Miami next, but they're another team. They're both looking to knock down the door back to Omaha after pretty lengthy droughts.
Was the last time Louisville was in Omaha Brendan McKay? Like that might be a rhetorical question. It could have been. That's crazy. It's been a little bit for
Yeah.
Louisville getting to Omaha, but Patrick Forbes, number 38 on Tyler's new top 300 draft prospects, which is live at justbaseball.com and linked in the episode description because we're like that. How about Miami? They've got a freshman, right? They've got this freshman bat that's tearing the cover off the ball right now.
Is that Cuvée? Daniel
Cuvée.
Cuvée? Yeah.
Cuvée.
He he's funny because like I think he's pretty streaky, right? I think Tyler he goes through like spouts of where he just strikes out all the time, and then all of a sudden he's hitting like 5 home runs in like 3 games.
Nice.
He's hit 379 on the season, but I guess the strikeouts are kind of an issue for him. But he tore the cover off the ball in the regional, and that's part of the reason why Miami was able to kind of punch their ticket to a super as well. The guys that I'm really looking for at Miami that have kind of stepped up, AJ Siskar on the mound, he is absolutely dominated. And another reason why this team has gotten hot at late as well. And then you got Griffin Hughes on the mound, who's kind of been their Friday night guy. I think Siskar and him had switched off in the regionals, but maybe the best mustache in college baseball. So you got that going
No,
for him.
no,
Who's the other
that's
guy?
Ben Miller. It's
Oh yeah, Ben
Miller. It's
Miller's
not
got the
even
best.
close.
No, yeah. Ben Miller
Gotcha.
definitely does.
I just saw Zach Agnos close out a game for Colorado, who was at East Carolina, and he might have the best mustache in Major League Baseball now. The other one's sneaky. Nick Gonzalez. Do you guys see his for the
I have
Pirates
Yes.
this year?
not.
Unbelievable mustache. It's like old timey boxer. He curls the side, so I can dig a good college mustache. I can dig a good big league mustache too. So
That was Ben Miller on Duke. That's what he's got is like the old timey
yeah, curl
mustache
the
now.
sides.
Yeah.
Old timey mustache, like the mid 2000s pop walk up song. Like Ben
Sure.
Miller is the epitome of like your father in the 80s.
What is it? Is it like Calabria 2008? Is that his walk up?
I want to say last year it was either T Swift or Katy Perry. I can't remember which one it was.
Oh, so he's like that kind of mainstream pop guy.
Yes, very
Okay.
mainstream. The fun part is, and we can talk about this later, but Ben Miller actually grew up as a UNC fan.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Huh. And now he's Duke's stud.
yes, he
Yeah.
is.
Good. Okay, sweet. Jared sent me your guys' staff predictions for these regionals here, but before we move on to the next super, I do want to kind of get your guys' prediction and a quick why. So give me who you think is winning this super, obviously how many games, and then why you feel like that team is winning the super. So we'll start with Miami and Louisville.
I'm going to pick Louisville on this one only because like we saw them in Shriners, we were super impressed early on the
Yeah.
season. They faced a lot of injuries, like Parker Detmers, which is Reed's brother, went down. They lost him out of the rotation. They lost Forbes for a little bit, but now the pitching staff seems to be taking like that next step that you need for this playoff run. And the bats, like as Tyler mentioned, the offense is what's going to carry this team. But if the arms are going to pitch as well as they have been of late, I'm definitely taking Louisville on this one.
Cool.
Same thing here. Just watching them completely last week was phenomenal. Uh, and another thing too that I forgot to mention before, Matt Klein's back.
Okay.
Matt Klein
Mhm.
is a very good catcher for them, for me, like it was a broken wrist for a solid like 2 months. Came back, he hit two home runs last week. I think he's a big X factor for Louisville this week. If he's mashing, yeah, I think they're very much fully in going to Omaha.
Tyler, if Miami wins this super regional, why did they win?
It comes down to Daniel Cuvée and the rotation.
Okay.
That's the biggest thing for me because Hughes and Durham wasn't the greatest, admittedly. I think he only went like 2 2/3, or he went like 3 1/3 against Cal. Didn't really perform well, but then he has a 9 inning game last week to really solidify their stance in the regional down in Hattiesburg. So having that in your back pocket's great. Tate DeRias. There's another guy over there that I'm kind of blanking on his name right now, but it's another freshman arm that's been really good for them. And that was their thing going down the stretch, was having those two freshman arms kind of back up Hughes. So getting a lot out of your starters for Miami is going to be key in them winning in the Super.
Got you. Okay, next super regional we go to. My understanding is that we have one of the Golden Spikes finalists here, and it's not Jamie Arnold or Ava Arquette. Florida State, Oregon State. It's Alex Lodice. Do I have that right? Lodice?
Lodi's, yep.
Lodice. Okay, so Florida State, Oregon State. From a draft perspective, Arnold will throw a game. Arquette will play in 3 games for Oregon State. Who else are we looking out for?
There's a couple of other guys on that Florida State lineup that are really enticing. Obviously, we've all talked about Miles Bailey the past couple of weeks,
Okay.
because hit a ball at like 118, 470 in Durham, which was ridiculous. But he also comes with a lot of swing and miss, a lot of strikeouts. It's a guy that's got 80 raw power from the left side, but he's going to strike out a lot. But going further with that, you mentioned Lodice being one of the Golden Spikes finalists. He won ACC Player of the Year. It's really aggressive at the plate. Like he'll swing a lot, try and he'll go down 0-2 pretty quickly, but by hacking. It's
Sure.
not passive. But he's really good at backspinning the baseball. It's a lot of pull side emphasis, it's a lot of pull side power. He's a guy that can really stick at shortstop as well. He's one of my favorite bats in this class. And I wish I could put him higher, but there's still some question marks with the approach and the bat the ball skills. But hammers fastballs. He absolutely loves fastballs. There's a couple other guys in there. Max Williams is another guy who bit aggressive, loves to chase pitches, but it's a lot of power. He's been up to like 117 from the left side. I think it was 18 home runs this year. Um, Chase Williams is another guy. Drew Farrell. They have a lot of firepower in that offense. And the thing with the starting pitching, it's kind of off and on. Like we mentioned Arnold before, and I still think Arnold's arguably the best arm in this class, but the gap's kind of closed between him and like Cade Anderson and Kyson Witherspoon a little bit.
Okay, so coming into this year was Arnold and Tyler Bremner at Santa
Mm-hmm.
Barbara. And then you've got some, high school kids like the kid Seth Hernandez in California, right? He jumps out. But who are these other two? Kyson Witherspoon, you said?
Yeah, so Oklahoma righty, And if anybody watched the start against UNC, it wasn't the greatest. He did give up 6 runs, I think, in the first. But when I saw Kyson in March, when they were down at South Carolina,
I
I
saw
was
your
really
tweets.
impressed.
You loved him.
Yeah, it was 95, 98 the whole outing. Had a little bit of hiccups in the first, but was really dominant throughout the rest of the night. Really good fastball, slider, curveball, changeup guy. So it's 4 complete pitches and improved strikes. I really enjoyed him quite a bit. Um, and Cade Anderson too from LSU. He was another guy that really stood out to me when I saw him against South Carolina.
Cool.
Was new slider. It can kind of morph between a sweeper and a curveball, and has that hammer in the back pocket up to 95 with good fastball shape, really good changeup, good command. It's young, it's projectable, there's strikes, there's a lot to like there. So those two guys are SP2, SP3 for me. And I think if you ask like for a general consensus around the league, it might differ between those three, but those are the top three guys in this class on the college pitching side for me.
Okay. Interesting.
For Cade Anderson, he struck out 8 batters in the first 3 innings in the SEC tournament too.
Really?
Yeah, it was nuts. I
He's
think he
got
struck
that
out
kind of
maybe
stuff.
14 total in that game, somewhere from 12 to 14. But it was just absolutely disgusting.
Okay, interesting. Arnold, I've loved watching. I've made sure to check in on him consistently and great conversation with Jamie Arnold earlier this year as well. Like he just seems like an absolute gamer and kind of has that 1-1 makeup. And I don't know if he's going 1-1, but he does have that top pitcher in the class makeup. He's going to fly pretty quickly. But Arnold, again, he can only throw one game. What's the deciding factor in this super, Jared?
Uh, I th To me, it's going to be like the home field advantage for Oregon State. They're
Okay.
21-3 at home. They absolutely dominated in a regional. I think a lot of us picked TCU to like give Oregon State fits during the regional. They didn't even come close. They got outscored, I think, 20-3 or something ridiculous like that in the regional. Oregon State just looked absolutely dominant, even though they lost the first game. They were able to get out of the losers bracket and absolutely sweep the rest of the way. The lineup, I mean, outside of Arquette, you got guys like Gavin Turley, Wilson Weber, Trent Caraway, like all these dudes are producing. And I feel like the fact, if this was in Tallahassee, I'd probably be like, okay, Florida State for sure. But the fact that they were going all the way to Corvallis,
Yeah.
have to, like you said, after Jamie Arnold, I mean, there's still arms there for Florida State. Like you got Joey Vellini and Wes Mendez who have been pitching pretty well, but I don't know. I really like this Oregon State team. Even in my predictions, I picked Florida State to
Yeah, I
win.
see a big fat FSU logo
Yeah,
right here for you, Jared. You're talking
I
like
know.
Oregon State's winning.
I know. And I didn't, I completely forgot that when I did that pick that it was in Corvallis. And so even though it says Corvallis right there on the thing, but I just feel like Oregon State's going to take this one, even though I want Florida State to win.
Got you.
Okay, so like looking at this now because I see the FSU logo.
I mean, he talked like Florida State has no chance, and then I look down and it's like, yeah, I still got FSU.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing too with FSU is their. Jared mentioned Vellini and Mendez. They had rough patches down the
Yeah.
stretch, but they both performed pretty well last weekend in their home regional. I think Mendez went 8 strong with 7 or 8 strikeouts, may have been 9. And that's going to be their biggest thing moving forward is how well Vellini and Mendez pitch behind Arnold, and then of course the bullpen after because the bullpen doesn't really have a ton of shutdown guys. Like you got Peyton Prescott and John Abraham who have been their like biggest workhorses, but outside of that, they don't really have a ton of firepower in there, and it's really a hot and cold situation there. So I feel like if Florida State's going to win this regional, walk into Corvallis and take down the Beavers, they really have to get good outings from those two guys as well as their bullpen.
Got you. Link Jarrett is the head coach at Florida State.
Mhm.
Who is this? Mitchell Dean Canham is the head coach at Oregon State. Mitchell Canham.
Yeah. He's like 37 or something. He's super young.
When he was a pro guy, like he was a manager in pro ball. How has that worked so far this year? Arquette has to be over the moon with a guy that is just like a pro manager that happened to jump back in to the college coaching ranks. Like, is this a common move for anybody or no?
I mean, Tyler, I'll let you dive into this, but like you saw Wes Johnson, right? He left the Twins as a
Yeah,
pitching
right.
coach to go to LSU, and now he's
And
the
now
head
he's at
coach of
Georgia.
Georgia.
Yeah.
So I don't know if at least this is what I've heard from some people who have done the jump is that like the college season's so much shorter, right?
Yeah.
And like if you can get into a big school, you're probably getting paid similarly to being a pro coach,
Yeah.
and you get so much more time off and less travel.
Yeah. You got a wife and kids. It's kind of the dream come true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Not to mention Max Wiener was another guy
Yeah.
that went from Seattle, goes to be the pitching coach at A&M, and now he's with Schlossnagle at Texas.
Yeah.
That's another
Really.
guy that made the jump.
And then is Tulowitzki on Jim Schlossnagel's staff, or is he a
Mm,
volunteer assistant
He might actually be on the staff now.
for
yeah.
Tulowitzki? Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Wow.
Oklahoma's got, of course, or Oklahoma State's got Holiday.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
not
Right.
Matt, but his brother's the head coach.
Yep.
Josh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So Jared's going to stand by Florida State. Tyler, you got Oregon State. How many games?
Gonna go three. I think this
Okay.
is going to be probably the
Yeah.
most entertaining super regional this weekend in terms of pure talent. But I just think with the Corvallis home environment, it's going to be really tough to knock off Oregon State, even with the fact that we've talked with Jason on our podcast about this on the clock. Like they fine tuned their RPI on the schedule this year to a T, but outside of that, their resume wasn't the greatest. But 21-3 at home, it's just so tough to win in Corvallis. I just don't see a way that Florida State can overcome that.
Got you. Okay. Moving to the next one here. We got Arizona, North Carolina. This one is in Chapel Hill, if I'm not mistaken. Chapel Hill, obviously, baseball royalty, Arizona baseball royalty as well. No names at the top of the draft in this super regional, though, no?
Summerhill. Brendan
Summerhill.
Summer. Yeah.
Got you.
Yes. So Summerhill, Stevenson, Kepley are the big three that are going to be here. And you can throw in Jake Knapp as well. Like he didn't make the top 300, and that's mainly because of the fact that he's 24, going to be 25 at the end of the year. You don't see a ton of guys that with that kind of age that really get taken high unless you're really looking for a team that's going to do draft strategy. But Jake Knapp, ACC Pitcher of the Year, he's in the running for Ace, or I think the best pitcher in college baseball over the course of the year. I don't know the name of the award; it's blanking me right now. Um, but he is just absolutely fascinating to watch. It's a lot of strikes. It's really good fastball, really good changeup, and he's a guy that came from Walter State. Was supposed to be the Friday guy last year, but he went down with TJ. Came back this year, and it's been insane.
Really?
He's really really good, and I think that entire UNC pitching staff is really really good as well. So uh, I think if we look down at the regional picks, it's all of us going UNC, and I think that's why they're just an absolute wagon, man.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Jared, I mean, what jumps out to you about the possible I would like Cinderella, I guess, within a super regional. It's weird to call a 3-game series a Cinderella, but what jumps out about a possible clear-cut underdog in Arizona?
I mean, I really like this Arizona team. We saw them in Shriners and they really struggled. They got basically swept out. I think not basically. They got swept out of Shriners. Didn't win a game. And they have just turned it on. They looked really good in the Big 12 tournament. Wound up, didn't they win the Big 12, right, Tyler?
I believe so.
Yeah,
I
over
believe so.
TCU. Um, the one guy I love on this team is Mason White. Like the guy can't pick up spin to save his life, but man, when he runs into a fastball, it's like the prettiest swing that you'll see. He loved hitting in Globe Life Field. Like that dude pimped so many home runs in Globe Life because he just absolutely rakes there. But like, he's kind of the guy. He's hit 19 home runs. He's got 70 RBIs on the season for Arizona. Like if he's going good, like this Arizona offense is a lot of fun to watch. Pitching staff's a little bit more sketchy. They have decent guys in the rotation, like Owen Krimkowski has really stepped up. Bailey Smith, as a freshman, has looked really good for this Arizona Wildcats team. And so the bullpen has also been really good for Arizona as well. So like if this team can get everything locked into place, they looked really good in the regionals as well. Like I really like this Arizona team.
Got you. Okay, but you guys see like minimal fight from Arizona? I mean, enough fight to make it 3 games, or is it kind of that 2-game sweep? Carolina takes care of business.
I just think North Carolina is just so good.
Just that
It's
good.
not that Arizona's bad. I just think North Carolina is very, very good at baseball.
Is this, if you were to power rank the watchability of these super regional matchups, is this number 8?
Hmm, I don't think that.
Okay.
I think this would be a top series I'd want to watch. Like
Really?
near the, yeah, I really like this matchup. I think again, I think North Carolina is the better team, but I wouldn't be like it wouldn't shock me if Arizona made noise.
Okay. Yeah. Tyler, how many games do you think this gets taken care of in? Three?
Probably three. Yeah.
Okay.
And like to Jared's point too with Mason White, I think Mason White also had a 3 home run game
Yeah,
in Eugene. And there's another guy, I think it was Aaron Walton was another
yeah.
guy that had a 3 home run game. And conveniently they're both on the top 300. I'm just gonna put it out there right now. But um I really just do feel like with UNC's pitching, like they've got a guy, Walker McDuffie. I call him Specs because he's got the glasses.
Perfect.
He looks like a nerd that just came out of biology class and is now going to dice you up with a nasty sweeper.
Yeah, but those
Uh,
guys could be awesome, man.
yeah, dude, I've heard nothing but good things about Specs. I fucking love him.
Yeah,
Pardon the
dude.
language,
Yeah,
but
you're good.
like Ryan Lynch is another guy in there that's now starting. He's been a dynamic freshman for them. UNC just has so much pitching depth that it's going to be tough for Arizona to overcome that. If they have one bad offensive day, I think it's wraps there.
Got you. Okay. Go to the next super regional here, and it is in Auburn, Alabama. Coastal Carolina, the Chanticleers against the Auburn Tigers. Chanticleers or Chanticleers? I've heard it both ways.
I think it can go either which way.
Yeah.
I kind of go Chanticleers.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just like Midwest born and raised, so I think Chanticleers could be the one that fits me. But obviously they've got a national title to their name, Coastal Power. Um, Auburn, one of the best teams in America, though. No. Yeah.
Easily. I think so. And like Coastal, what was it? They've won like 20 straight or something. Let me double check
Yeah.
on that.
They
But
went 30
like,
and 4 in their conference, by the way.
Dude, dude. Okay,
is
Just
that pretty
stupid
good?
numbers.
that's pretty good. Who are the
Yeah.
standouts on Auburn's side right now in terms of draft pedigree or just some of the best players in the country?
Like Irish. Like Irish 100%. The way I've got it for Irish, and he's in our top 10 now on our top 300 board, is he's no longer a catcher. I think he's going to be an outfielder now, but the
Okay.
bat has been so good over the past few months. Like power, there's field to hit. Like granted, he doesn't hit the ball in the air a ton, but the thing with Irish is he just it is a very tough out to make at the plate right now, and that's going to be the biggest thing to watch here. Is like Coastal's pitching staff has been unreal this year.
Really?
I am very interested to see how they handle Irish, Chris Rambert, Eric Guevara, Eric Snow. Some of these high octane bats in this Auburn lineup are going to have some interesting matchups, and that's what's going to make this regional so fun for me to watch. Is you've got a team that historically with Coastal they've never really had this kind of pitching. They've always been a bat heavy team, but looking at what Matt Williams has done for this coastal program and
Yeah.
turn their pitching around, Auburn might be in for a bit of a tough time. That's why there's 3 out of 4 of us to have Coastal Carolina go in Omaha here.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And that would be a clear-cut upset. What about Coastal excites you most, Jarrett, aside from just like team pitching identity? Because clearly that's the bread and butter.
Yeah, I think this team's team chemistry, right? Like you win 51 games, you're gonna have team chemistry. We had Jacob
Yeah.
Morrison on, who's their ace, and I was like, what's gone into like you guys developing team chemistry? And he's like, well, when you win 48 games, he's like, it's pretty easy to have team chemistry,
Really
and
easy.
and it's just they're kind of all on the same page. But like the offense doesn't blow you away, but they're just scrappy, man. Like they drive up pitch counts, they get on base. Like they're not going to hit the long ball, and they're not going to have the guys who are throwing up the 118 exit velos, but they just make a ton of contact and they get on base. And like that, I think is going to be trouble for Auburn's pitching staff. Because they don't have, again, Auburn doesn't really have high octane arms either. Like Cade Fisher's, I think, like 87 to 90 with a fastball, and he lives in the strike zone and he strikes a ton of guys out because it's got good carry. But
Yeah.
like, I think this is a team that's going to be able to work up uh, high pitch counts on these starters, and I think it's going to like give them fits.
Overarching question for you, Tyler. Carry numbers in college. How many inches do you typically knock off when a guy gets to pro ball? Because the seams are obviously higher in college. So a 20 vert fastball can turn into an 18 vert fastball.
Maybe lower. So you'll
Maybe
knock off
lower.
at least 2.5 to 3 inches of carry on that. And that's kind of what Coastal is. Like Jacob Morrison, Cam
Mhm.
Fluke, those are high IVB guys. Um, but they have been so much improved on strike throwing this year. I think Riley Eichhoff, who's been their Sunday guy, has only like 9 walks on the year in like 80 innings pitched. Um, it's really been a great turnaround for what Matt Williams has been able to do for this ball club, and I really do find it difficult for Auburn if they happen to get into like a 2-0 deficit. Depending on how things go, Morrison and Flukie have been amazing at the top of the rotation recently. It's going to be really tough, and Coastal's bullpen is no slouch either.
So
Like
good.
Carbone, Ryan Lynch, Scott Doran. There's a few other guys I'm really kind of blanking on right now. I think Matthew Patak is another guy that's really stood out. It's going to be potentially a pitch off. I could totally see this being like a very close regional in terms of these are 2-1 games or 4-3 games or something. It may not be a lot of offense in this super regional, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I've got a bad joke sitting in the back of my head, so I just have to get it out. Like that's just how I work. But like, is Carbone related to the Penne alla vodka in New York or no?
I think I've seen tweets about like this same kind of joke.
Okay, yeah. So I knew it was like unoriginal. It's just you see Carbone and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
that works. Yeah, but apparently that's a really good vodka sauce at Carbone. All right, you guys both have this chance here. Is it just pitching dominance? Like it's just going to overwhelm one of the best teams in America?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it for me. And even watching what Coastal did in their super or not their super, but the regular regional against ECU, where take a jab, they throw a punch. That's essentially what that game was. Coming down to win it all for Coastal, and then they just absolutely blew it open. I think they put
Gotcha.
up like fifth or 18. I think it was 18-7 or something was the final after it was like a 6-6 game going into the seventh.
Okay,
So I really do think Coastal's got the firepower to handle an SEC program here.
interesting. Okay, true Cinderella in LA. UCLA against UTSA. Meet me. Shout out the Roadrunners. Will Stein was their OC at UTSA. He was then the offensive coordinator at Oregon, but now moving from the football field to the baseball diamond. What does UTSA do well? Is this an Oral Roberts type deal where this is a very good mid-major team, or are they a team that simply surprised at a regional?
Yeah, I kind of wrote about this in the super regional preview, but I feel like this UTSA team just does like everything right in
Okay,
some sense. Again, it's not anything that's going to blow the doors off, but like they're very well coached. They are scrappy. Like they were giving Texas fits during that regional. They're a team that they're 13th in the nation in runs scored per game. They're in the top 10 in both batting average and on base percentage. And granted, like you could take it with a grain of salt given the conference they're in, but they found a way to do it against Texas and at Texas's field. Like that's impressive in itself. And Texas was our number 2 team, I think, going into the tournament. When you're able to do that, that gives me confidence that you're going to have not an easy route, but you're going to give UCLA fits.
yeah, that makes sense. UCLA, what makes them special?
Rock Chalowski, tune
Cool.
in. That's where I'm going to go. And I think we haven't put any 2026 ranks up yet, but Chalowski is going to be one of, if not the number one guy for me. He's a guy that I remember in high school, very slender. Uh, People always had questions about whether or not he's going to hit for power at the next level. The power has shown up this year, and it's shown up in a big way. It's a lot of pull side power, really good feel to hit as well, and he's a surefire shortstop. He's a guy that he really does stick out when you look at kind of like the lineup stats. Like it's a guy with 20 plus home runs, and I think the next highest is like 11 or 12. Um, Roland Martin, Phoenix Call, there's a few other guys in that lineup that could make some leeway here. And they've got some decent pitching as well. Wyland Moss showed up last weekend against UC Irvine. There was another guy that they had. I think it was Ian May is his name that really stuck out to me as well. So I think UCLA is better suited in their home regional here, but I don't know. I do think UTSA could make this a 3-game set. I really do.
You think so?
I think
But
so.
what proves to be too much on UCLA's front against UTSA? Is it just pedigree? Like, because I understand the idea of like making it a 3-game set, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the better team just outlasts. That's That's the
Yeah.
beauty of college basketball, where it's one game in 40 minutes, anything can happen. I think if you made the NCAA men's basketball tournament like a best of three each round, we're going to see chalk. We're going to see one seeds get through like
Yeah.
all the time. So is it as simple as that, or is there some defining characteristic of UCLA that could push them through?
I would say there's nothing like glaring
Got
on
you.
the surface. I think it just comes out to there's more depth on the UCLA side than
Hmm.
anything because especially on the pitching side, like Zach
Hmm.
Royce for UTSA has been one of the better mid-major arms this year, and he can shove. But outside of that, there's not really a ton kind of keeping them afloat a little
Yeah.
bit. So I'm not saying that the spotlight's too big for UTSA. I just don't think they have the depth to outduel UCLA in their home ballpark.
Got you. Now I see a huge ass Roadrunner on Jared's side. Look at that sticker, man. Look at that Roadrunner thing on the graphic. Why?
Meet me.
Meet
Yeah,
me.
I agree with Tyler. I think this UCLA. I wrote about this like all throughout the super regional preview that I'm like UCLA is such a well balanced team,
Yeah.
and then I go and pick UTSA to win mainly because I really want it to happen and I want to see the Roadrunners
Yeah,
in
sometimes
Omaha.
you have to, man.
And it's I agree with Tyler in some cases on the depth, but I also feel like the regionals when you're really going to have your depth tested, and they wound up coming out on top against Texas, so it makes me feel like they have some depth there. Maybe it's not to the extent that UCLA has, but all you have to do is get hot at the right time, right? And so like that's why I kind of went with UTSA to pick them. Like this is a team that's running red hot. They have a ton of team chemistry. They got a fan base that's behind them. Like if you watch on Twitter, anything you tweet about UTSA, it's all of a sudden getting traction because like the fans are fired up.
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff I love at the college baseball season. And I think that's the reason why I picked UTSA.
Sure. Tyler, you felt comfortable being boring and just going with the Bruins?
Yeah, I'm a boring guy.
Yeah.
So
You and me both, pal. So
Tyler's likely going to be right, so I can't I
it's
can't
okay.
complain.
Would you rather be right or would you rather be bold, man? That's the big question that everybody has to answer for themselves. Let's go to Duke, Durham, Murray State against Duke. Lot like the conversation we just had with the UTSA. Is Murray State a fluke that they got through the regional, or is this real that they got through the regional?
Jared, I'll let you answer this one because I admittedly I didn't watch a ton of this Old Miss regional.
Yeah,
Um, so I'll let you take the wheel on this one.
I feel like the Racers were kind of slept on as a four seed in this regional. This is
Okay.
a team that ranked high in many of the offensive categories. They were 20th in run score per game, 13th in walk percentage, 19th in strikeout percentage, 47th in batting average, 21st in on base percentage, 37th in the nation in wins run created plus. Like, sure, again, this is the Missouri Valley Conference, right? But it's still impressive that they led the nation and they played Ole Miss tough, and they wound up being scrappy enough to an Ole Miss team that was red hot coming out of the SEC tournament, like dominated in the SEC tournament. Like they had to go through Arkansas, LSU, and Florida to get to the SEC championship game, and Ole Miss barely lost to Vanderbilt in that one, 3-1. They go into the regional, and Murray State just gives them fits the entire regional, and it's just. I think this team is very impressive. I didn't pick them to come out of this super regional because I almost feel like Duke is somewhat similar. They play with kind of some of the same mentality. They're super scrappy, they're relentless, and they're grinders. But I think Duke has more talent and depth than Murray State does.
Got you. Who are the standouts for Duke?
AJ Gracia, number one. And the biggest thing for me is like I know Gracia is suspended for game one because of the. I didn't really talk about this much, but I think it's a stupid rule to have on the home run props. Like you see the video, he's going out to celebrate with teammates, and the ump just made it an ump show. And I get it. Tensions were
Explain
already
it.
high.
Explain it to
Yeah.
me like I'm four. What happened? He got suspended a game because he brought a prop out of the dugout.
Yeah, so he had hit a home run against Oklahoma State in the eighth, which gave them. I think it brought them within one run, and it led to them taking the lead later on in the inning. But they always hand out. It was like a construction hat. There's their blue collar mentality is what Duke has, and
Duke of all schools has a blue collar mentality. Got it.
Yeah.
Keep going.
so they obviously wear the hard hat after hitting home runs or big moments is the way that Pollard puts it, and he still had the hat on when they took the lead. I think it was a Sam Harris 2-run single to make it 3-2, and uh, Gracia happened to walk out to the field with the hat. Saw it, tossed him. Uh, and obviously people have talked about it all week. And I think it was Jack DeLongchamps who was the first guy that really put it out
Pencil
onto the
talk.
spaces.
Yeah.
Yes, pencil talk. First off, Jack, if you're listening to this, love you, buddy. You are an awesome dude. Um, but like I don't know, the prop rule I think is stupid. The NCAA is trying to make games more boring, and I know I went the boring route and picked UCLA last on the last Super, but
Well, you're going a super boring route here, but everybody is. They're going with the Dukies.
Yeah.
well, hey, but like here's the way I look at it: you got to create fun, you got to make the game entertaining,
Yeah.
and the NCAA is not doing that.
Sure.
So, kind of off script for me, but that it's stupid that the NCAA has this rule. I
Well,
really don't like it.
I was going to mention we talked about this on the clock, like how the umpires let so much go, and it felt like the Gracia decision was like, we probably should do something because we haven't done it. Like Oklahoma State, the game before, or was it Oklahoma State? I can't remember. Someone bat flipped like towards the dugout.
Oh, Georgia, yeah.
Yeah, Georgia game. Sorry, it was yeah. Slade Alford hit a home run and like bat flipped toward the opposing team's dugout, and you're supposed to get ejected for that. Basically, he
And
didn't.
nothing happened.
And then I think the next hitter also hit a home run, did the same thing, and then like in the third or Alfred's second at bat, he like gently placed the bat down, and he never got tossed for any of that. And so then now all of a sudden the umpire's like, okay, we got to toss Gracia.
Yeah, I think that's not a makeup call per se, but I think it's just a dumb precedent set. Admittedly, like I get it, there's tension between the other games, but don't let that carry over to the next teams. Like I thought it was stupid.
Yeah.
But anyways, back to our conversation
Yeah,
about
back to the
Duke.
Dukies.
Gracia has arguably been one of the best second half players in the entire country. I think last I saw, he was slashing like 440 with a 900 slugging. He's had like 14 home runs since the beginning of April.
Yeah.
He's been a key piece to this lineup, and he had a really really tough start to the year. He was hitting like a buck 90 coming into April, and now it's hovering around 300. Wallace Clark, Ben Miller, the greatest mustache in America right now.
Yes.
Um, Sam Harris, Ben Rounds, Jake Hyde. The offense is so well rounded for Duke that they're going to put up a ton of runs. The pitching has been the biggest question mark. They can be inconsistent. Owen Prosch has been their so-called ace this year. And he was a guy that wasn't even in the rotation to start the year.
Yeah.
So having him give you some length on Saturday is going to be key. Kyle Johnson looks better out of the bullpen now as well. James Talon's another guy. Gabe Nard. There's a few arms that can really pitch well for Duke, and I think it's a testament to how good they performed last week with the pitching staff, because
Yeah.
they can be very hot and cold, kind of like what Florida State is.
Gotcha.
But when everything's clicking, this is a team that's going to make some noise. They're going to be very dangerous, and they've been very, very close to knocking down the door to Omaha this year, or the past few years. I think 2023 was the last time they were in a super. I think this is the year that they finally break down the door.
Cool.
I am rooting for this team to do so. And I'm not saying that because I know some of the Duke coaches and some of the guys there, but it'd be very nice to see them in Omaha.
Yeah, I believe it. This is one of the best photos that I've ever seen for our YouTube crowd. I mean, like Ben Miller goes with 2-3 buttons undone. He's got the buttons done below the letters, and he's got the what's it called? Taco meat. That's the chest hair, right? It's like the dark curly chest hair is called taco meat. And then you've got the old timey mustache as well. It really is an unbelievable look for Ben Miller. You guys go Duke in 2 or 3?
Probably 3, honestly.
Yeah, I give it 3.
Yeah. I will say too, another thing on Ben Miller that I made a joke of, and if you follow a couple of Duke media guys, you'll see this. Ben Miller is like Archduke Franz Ferdinand reincarnated.
That's awesome. Yeah, I look forward to tuning into Ben Miller and the fighting Blue Devils. But 2 more super regionals to go through. Both these getting going on Saturday. West Virginia and LSU in Baton Rouge. LSU seems like a freight train right now. Are they still the NIL kings of college baseball?
A&M might be close.
A&M's close? Okay.
Yeah. If not, like above LSU.
Got it. That was an interesting thing, and like this kind of gets into my macro thought on NIL. I think LSU did it really well, and obviously there's a freaking documentary coming out about this with like Livy and Angel Reese and Van Lith and baseball too. think about where they put their NIL funds. They got a quarterback, they got a Heisman Trophy winner in Jaden Daniels, right? But like,
Mhm.
it wasn't like it got poured into men's basketball. And men's basketball is a crapshoot.
Yeah.
If you run the gamut on baseball in the portal and you run the gamut on women's basketball in the portal, like you guarantee yourself a Final Four spot or an Omaha spot. And what do? They grab Angel Reese, they grab Van Lith, and they win a national title. They get a Tommy White in the portal. Obviously, I don't know how much that factored into Skeens' decision. It could have, and they get a national title out of that. Like it really is. I thought it was genius. I thought the NIL allocation of funds were genius for LSU. And if you got it, flaunt it. And if you got it, try and win some ball games. And it seems like they can get to Omaha. Also, I love the way that LSU fan base takes over Omaha when they get there.
They do it in Hoover too at the SEC tourney.
Do they do it in Hoover?
Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah.
unreal, man.
It was nuts when I was there. Like the LSU game, it was just packed out with purple and gold.
That's so cool. That is so cool. What makes them so tough this year?
They're just good. They're just very, very like
Good answer, Jared.
yeah, they're just loaded, man. Like top to bottom. And I think we talked about this on the previous On the Clock podcast, but like the pitching staff is so deep. And then like, if you want to make a run in Omaha, you want to make a run in a regional, you have to have pitching. And it's like they from top to bottom, like you have two aces basically in Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson. And then outside of that, it's like everybody is good out of that pitching staff. Kason Evans as a freshman has stepped up and he's posted a 1.90 ERA as a freshman. He's kind of turned into that Sunday guy in some sense for them. But then they got guys like Zach Cowan, who's really stepped up for them. Chase Shores like struggled in the rotation and now is an electric factory out of the bullpen. So it's like top to bottom, they've just got the pitching that's really going to carry them. And then on top of that, the offense is just studly as well. You got Jared Jones, who is probably going to be a draft pick in 2024, comes back to campus and he's dropped 20 bombs for them. You got Ethan Fry, who wasn't even starting the year for the Tigers, all of a sudden is now hitting 359's, got 13 home runs, 49 RBIs. Then you got Derek Curiel, a freshman, who might be one of the top, or not might be, he's one of the top freshmen in the SEC. It's just like top to bottom, this team is just so loaded with talent.
Got you. Interesting. Is there a fight that can be put up by West Virginia, and where does that fight come?
Eh.
Eh? Okay. Is this the two? Is this the one that you guys are finally telling me ends in 2 games?
I think so. Yeah.
Tyler nodding along.
Yeah, I will play devil's advocate for West Virginia. This is the second year in a row they've been to Supers. They were there Chapel Hill last year, got swept in 2 games, but they don't have JJ Weatherholt anymore, but they have a pretty balanced offensive attack.
Okay.
And, they have another guy that's like Derek Clark last year who Griffin Curran comes from a D2 school, is now their Friday night guy, throws a bunch of strikes from the left side, pretty deceptive. And if there's one thing I've learned through college baseball is deceptive lefties win you ball games, apparently.
Yes.
They are just unbeaten foe, apparently. And this West Virginia team has shown them some fight over the past week or so. Like they were down 12-7 against Kentucky in the final game in the Clemson Regional, came back and won that game. They walked off Kentucky twice, I do believe. So there's some fight here. I think Logan Suave, Sam White, there's a few other guys in that offense that are really, really good for West Virginia. And they also have one of the best breaking balls in the country, Chase Meyer, out of the bullpen. But I just really do wonder how much of a fight they can put up in this volatile of an environment in the box. So it'll be interesting to see. I do think this West Virginia team is good, just not good enough to overcome the Alex Box Stadium woes.
How many do they get into that place? 15?
It's a good question.
Because they sell out all the time. I know. And this super is going to be packed to the gills. Is
it
that
says they have a capacity for 10,000.
capacity for 10? Okay, that means they'll push it to 12 with the standing
Yeah.
room only.
Yeah, pretty much.
So they'll push it to 12. Where does that rank in terms of college baseball environments? Like, give me just off the top of your head your guys' top 3 environments in college baseball.
Oh man, that's Arkansas is at the top for me.
Arkansas is at the top. Okay, we're gonna get to that in a moment. Don't spoil it.
Yeah,
But
the
Arkansas,
box is like got to be close to number one.
Alex Box is there. How about College Station?
I haven't been to there yet,
Okay.
but
I haven't been either. I do like the ball 5 chance they do. or
Yeah,
something.
it's cool. I like that.
I do think that's a cool mix, but obviously after this year, like I don't think they're doing that as much.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm going to be bold and say number three college environment, Bosmer Stadium, Chapel Hill.
Tell you what, I saw a game at the Bosch and I greatly enjoyed that ballpark, and it seems like a solid environment. So, okay, that fires me
Hattiesburg
up.
is supposed to be an electric factory.
Southern
Southern
Miss.
Miss. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. The place that Matt Wallner built, right? And Hurston Waldrop for a year.
Yeah.
It works. And then they had another kid, Hall, who was in the twin system for a little bit. I think he still is in
Yeah.
the twin system. So,
yep.
okay. Did we save the best for last in Tennessee, Arkansas?
I mean,
We might have.
it's the two juggernauts probably in a regional, basically. You got last
This
year's champs versus a team that's been top five all year.
So you also have two of the three Golden Spikes finalists, right?
Hmm.
And two first round picks, probably in Liam Doyle and Wahiwa Aloy. Doyle, obviously an arm. Is he just kind of Mr. Go-Go Gadget? Like he will do it all for them? And then you've got Aloy, who he a top five pick in the country, or is he in the 10 to 15 range?
I would say Aloy's probably closer to 20. And I think it's
Really?
because,
Okay.
so admittedly, it's the approach as it did change from last year, but then he kind of reverted back to that approach as he went through the SEC. And it's kind of back to there's some swing and miss, there's a lot of chase to it, but there's a lot of power. And that's the big thing for Aloy is like he can play shortstop and he's good there, but the biggest question mark has been the approach and kind of like how he adjusts moving forward.
Okay.
And the approach change just felt so short at the start of the year where he was more passive, he wasn't chasing as much to where now he's aggressive and just trying to do damage as much as possible, which has worked. It has. Um, I think Arkansas's offense is the best it's been in a few years. You know, Charles Davalon, Ryder Helfrich, uh, the other Lloyd brother, I think it's Kuhio.
Yeah, Kuyo.
Kuhio? Okay. Um, and there's a couple other guys in that lineup too that I just think really stick out for me. And obviously they've had the pitching for years, but I think the biggest X factor for Arkansas here, Gage Wood, is going to
Okay.
be the biggest one. Like this is a guy that had a shoulder impingement second week of the season, missed a good part of the year, and has now just turned it. I think he struck out 13 and 6 last weekend with a really, really good fastball curveball combination. And he's trending towards being a potential comp round pick at this point.
Hmm.
Um, so I think for that, like that's what Arkansas really needs is Gage Wood to perform as well as he has the past few weeks. Um, and even on the Tennessee side, like they've had some struggles offensively this year. You need Dean Curley to find the form that he had when they went to Fayetteville a few weeks ago. I think they faced each other at the last week of the season or something. Um, so you need him to kind of round up in the form, and then you've also got like Andrew Fisher, one of the best approaches in all college baseball. I really do enjoy it. Like pull side emphasis, pull side power. You know, I know Tennessee gets a lot of rap for their short walls and everything. It's a ballpark in the mountains in western or eastern Tennessee. Like
Right.
it's an Appalachian State ballpark.
Yeah.
Um, but if there's one thing Tennessee's been really good at, it's hitting bombs and also kind of keeping the ball in the ballpark, despite the fact that they pitch in a very hitter friendly environment.
Cool.
So like have Fisher, have Keelan, those guys, if they really, really do step up this weekend with Curley, Tennessee's going to give Arkansas fits. And
Okay.
I think the funny part is looking at the picks here. We all went Arkansas except for the Arkansas fan.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jason's a big diehard Arkansas fan and picked Tennessee.
And Jason picked Tennessee. Maybe that's some reverse psychology, but you guys both have the Omaha Hogs doing their thing, huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
3 games, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
This
think
will
this is
go
gonna
three.
like Tennessee's probably winning the Doyle game. And
Yeah.
then it's gonna be kind of an up in the air.
You guys are expecting a whole bunch of Monday baseball, huh?
Yes,
Yep.
we are.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. We've got Monday baseball, and then game 3 for the supers that get going on Friday would be on Sunday, right? So they would go Friday,
Mhm.
Saturday, Sunday,
Yeah.
and then it would be Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Cool, man. You guys going to be tapped in
I'll be watching every game.
every game. Now, do we do squeeze play for that too? Is it called squeeze play or bases loaded?
They do. It's Mike
Squeeze
Rooney
play,
and
yeah.
like somebody else
I
on Squeeze
love
Base.
Mike Rooney on this stuff, man.
Yeah. He's the
It's
best.
great. And they've got some amazing coverage of that. I get to work with Gabby Sanchez on Marlins Radio. I love Gabby Sanchez on these games. Mike Monaco's a stud. ESPN has this super regional coverage in really good hands, and On the Clock has this thing in really good hands as well. There's so much stuff live at justbaseball.com. Be sure to go check it out, including Tyler's new top 300 draft prospects. That is going to be my flight to Tampa. You excited?
Yeah, I'm excited. Plus, I've mentioned this on Twitter earlier. If you don't follow at TarJames24, follow Jared as well. I think it's Jared CP1.
Yeah.
I'm going to remember it one of these days by name. I
I,
really am.
it's probably not the best Twitter handle,
You're
but
fine.
it works.
You're fine. Oh well.
Could be worse. It could be my email, which is just my
It's
initials
just
and
a
then a
bunch of
bunch of
numbers.
letters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was your initials and then just a bunch of numbers, and we will not disclose those numbers. So, hey,
It's on my Twitter bio anyways, so
oh,
like people
perfect.
see it.
There you go.
But
Everybody email Tyler their thoughts on his board.
Yeah, exactly. So, hey, you guys are awesome. You're doing great stuff. We're so thankful to have you guys at Just Baseball, and have a great time watching a ton of super regional coverage.
Thanks all. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. We will talk to you next week.